For one reason or another, every NFL offseason, there are NFL teams that are seemingly the most active, while others, for better or worse, really don't do all that much. And that's not always a bad thing to be clear, as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers returned all 22 starters from their 2020 Super Bowl winning team and nearly completed a comeback to get them to the NFC Championship game this past year. However, there are other teams year in and year out that are very active, and we usually think of teams like the Los Angeles Rams, who do not have a first-round pick until 2024, and are seemingly involved in a big trade every single year at some point. And we are going to discuss a few NFL teams in today's video, and spoiler for anyone wanting me to discuss the possibility of the Denver Broncos being one of these very active teams because of you-know-who, they will not be in today's video, so without further ado, let's begin. For every Los Angeles Rams, a buyer, if you will, there has to be a team that will sell and try and rebuild for the long term, and because of that, we are starting today's video with the Atlanta Falcons. They are treading water as a franchise, and that's really the last spot you want to be in, because it's kind of like the glass half full or half empty dilemma. Either like what you have at the glass and fill it the rest of the way, or simply dump that shit out and start over. And I believe the Falcons will be dumping their cup and starting over for the most part, and that starts with veteran receiver Calvin Ridley. Ridley missed a lot of the 2021 season due to his mental health, and I truly wish him the best, and I hope he has received both the help and treatment he needs and returns to doing what he loves as a man and as a football player. But there has already been speculation that he wants out from Atlanta, and if there's already that speculation and teams know how good of a player he is, then he more than likely will be indeed out. Sure, the Falcons will have a hole to fill if or when they trade him, and if there is any good news to this from a football standpoint, it's not like they will be blindsided because they did have some games to get used to this during the final stretch of the 2021 season, and they also have a Pro Bowl and 1,000-yard tight end in Kyle Pitts to help fill this void. I would also imagine they will take a hard look at Treylon Burks, the receiver from the University of Arkansas, and if he's available at 9, which he more than likely will be, they could most definitely select him and use him in a Deebo Samuel-light role. And a team I love for Ridley to be traded to is the Philadelphia Eagles. They have 3 first-round picks, and you can take your choosing of which one they would trade for Ridley, but I think they are the strongest contender for Calvin because it adds up to trade one of those picks for him. And Eagles fans obviously feel a certain way about Mr. Roseman, and I'm sure they would be screaming to take one of those picks out of his hands and replace it with an already proven and productive receiver. And the Falcons receive a first-round pick for a disgruntled player and move on. It's really a win-win from both sides. And the next part of unloading the Atlanta Falcons roster would be Matt Ryan. And over the past couple of years, we saw with Phil Rivers and Tom Brady, and you can kind of throw Stafford in there because the Lions did get rid of him. They got 2 first-round picks, but I'm more so going for the older veteran QBs that went to another team late in their careers, and I do think Matt Ryan is next in line. And Ryan has had a tremendous career. He won an MVP and was close to winning a Super Bowl, but all things must come to an end. You have a head coach and GM entering their second year and have the most QB-needy teams in a while between teams like the Broncos and Steelers, and you can even throw the Washington Commanders in there, who in their minds are a quarterback away from seriously competing. Matt Ryan had a decent but not great season at the age of 36, and he's not getting any younger. The best thing they can do is trade him while there is still value this offseason, because if they don't, I think we know they're not going to do anything of note next year, and if you'd like to argue and say, well, the NFC South is going to be terrible, the Falcons are not going to seriously compete with the 49ers and Rams in 2022 with everything on the line. So maybe congratulations on potentially getting a hat and t-shirt for being division champs, but I am a firm believer in trading a player too early versus too late, as the market will dwindle down as Ryan gets older. From one team that selected a quarterback in the first round of the 2008 draft to another, we go to the Baltimore Ravens for a couple of reasons. They own the 14th pick in the draft, which is pretty unfamiliar territory for them, as the last time they selected in the top half of the first round was in 2016, when they selected tackle Ronnie Stanley 6th overall, and due to them having a very much injury-riddled 2015, and the injury highlight of that year was quarterback Joe Flacco unfortunately tearing his ACL. 2021 was a very similar year for Baltimore, and here we are again. They are in a position where they can legitimately compete for a Super Bowl, and I'm sure people want to get their jokes in of Lamar the running back, and they'll never win with him, or whatever, right? But the fact of the matter is, he will get paid this offseason, or next at worst if they want to go the franchise tag route, but this season, offseason, or next at worst. You don't have a player like Lamar and just toss him aside for Tyler Huntley, and no disrespect is intended there, I just genuinely do not think Tyler Huntley will ever lead the Ravens or any team on an MVP campaign and an eventual Super Bowl title. That's very rare territory. So Lamar will get paid, and that ties us back to today's video as to why they will be very, very active this offseason. Think of it like the Chiefs last year, who know they have quite the quarterback extension kicking in soon, and what was Kansas City doing all of last offseason? Improving everywhere they could before Patrick makes well north of $40 to $45 million, and because Lamar was drafted a year later, it's in a lot of ways the same timeline for them, just pushed 365 days down the road. They have already paid Mark Andrews and Marlon Humphrey, and have a good young receiving core of Marquise Brown, who, by the way, is not retiring to pursue a career in gaming. That was actually a rumor a couple of days ago. I don't know if you guys missed that, but yes, Marquise Brown retiring due to pursuing a gaming career was indeed a rumor. They also have Rashad Bateman, who was a player I very much loved in the draft process. And they will also be returning a very exciting young running back in J.K. Dobbins, who, barring another injury, will rush for over 1,000 yards. This team was without their top two running backs last year in J.K. and the Gus Edwards, their second corner in Marcus Peters, their starting left tackle in Ronnie Stanley, and their first-round receiver in Rashad Bateman, and still beat the Kansas City Chiefs. This isn't me trying to pump smoke in a team that may be on the rise like a Chargers team who has a great young quarterback, but unfortunately missed the playoffs, and they're a team we expect to compete for a while. Baltimore was a team in 2021 who had injury after injury after injury, and unfortunately it caught up to them by season end, and they finished by losing 7 of their last 9. If there is one thing I am certain of, and this is, by the way, assuming they're not down to their 10th corner against Aaron Rodgers, and having someone named Robert Jackson cover Devontae Adams, which turned about as well as you would expect, the Ravens will be back. If there's anything that's been proven over the past decade, it's that John Harbaugh is a winner. And if his team is quite literally not one of the most injured of any NFL team over the past 10 years, they would have made the playoffs in 2021, as they almost did even with all of those injuries. But they have a tight window and will be looking to improve the offensive line for Lamar, as well as bolster the secondary with pending free agent Anthony Averett, and given that Marcus Peters is coming off of a torn ACL, and given he is 29 years old. Next is the Las Vegas Raiders, and it boils down to a few things. New GM, new head coach, and like with the Falcons, pour the glass out or fill it up. The Raiders will, with or without Derek Carr, be looking to add a new receiver to the team with the loss of Henry Ruggs, and they could potentially sign a name like a Chris Godwin, Juju Smith-Schuster, or Allen Robinson. Unfortunately, the Raiders are not going to be able to replace the speed Ruggs had with the 4.27 40, but they can manage to snag what would probably equate to an overall better receiver. They are in a tough situation because of the thoroughbreds they will have to compete with for the next 10 plus years, and like or love Derek Carr, he's not Patrick Mahomes, and the Raiders are not, right now at least, the Chiefs. They are an inferior team to Kansas City, and with the new regime and the constant rumors of Carr being discussed within league circles, he will be a hot commodity this offseason. Will they trade him or keep him? Who would replace him if they do trade him for what will equate to at least one first-round pick? Because like with Atlanta, this is the year to cash in if you are trading a veteran quarterback. If you're the Raiders or Falcons and are planning a potential rebuild, then you need to trade the quarterback because teams simply do not trust Kenny Pickett, Matt Corral, or Malik Willis over a Matt Ryan or Derek Carr within their tight Super Bowl windows, and these teams could and will discuss first-round picks. One thing is for sure for Las Vegas this offseason: they will commit one way or another to what their future plans are, and they will not remain stagnant, which ultimately makes them the perfect team for today's video. An NFL team that will be very active this offseason, and I really can't wait to see how it plays out. Now that's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, now is the time I ask you to leave a like and subscribe to the channel because it would mean the world. Until next time, please be safe, comment what you think below, and have a great day. Love you guys.